No, but she's a bad person to you. Is he a good person to your child? Is he a good dad to your child? If he's a good dad to your child, he's providing, he does things that they have a relationship. Don't be the person who's hindering that relationship.
Yeah.
Allow that relationship to continue. Because the truth of the matter is that your child needs the father, your child needs the mother.
Yeah.
So, and it cuts both ways. If she is a good parent, don't be the person trying to hinder that relationship. Let that relationship continue.
This is a new meeting point for people all over the world to gather for healing and ultimate wellness through the solutions provided in our conversations. Welcome to Wellness with Lilly.
Hi, today's topic is very emotive. So many people are going through co-parenting and they don't know what to expect. Expectations are always the things that hurt us the most. So today we are going to talk about mostly expectations. My name is Lilly and this is Wellness with Lilly, and the channel is Shared Moments with Justus. To help us through that topic is Miss Angela Kioi. You are a lawyer. Are you an advocate?
I'm an advocate.
You're an advocate. And so we are very grateful for your gracing us with your presence.
Thank you.
You can say hi to the people.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Wellness with Lilly.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me here today. Yeah.
I know we don't have enough time to talk about, to exhaust that topic of parenting,
Yes.
but I want us to zoom in on this thing of equality. What does it mean even? Because already, I don't think any situation is equal already between the mother and the father of the child. So what does the law say about equality in relation to co-parenting, and what does that mean?
Okay. So we start from the first basis is with the Constitution, because that is where all these rights are coming from with regards to the child. So under the Constitution, it's Article 53, which says that parents bear equal responsibility for their child. And then it goes on to say that each parent must each parent bears equal financial responsibility. So to me, I think what's interesting is that they talk about financial responsibility, and but they do not talk about equal responsibility, perhaps for the ensuring the mental wellness and the physical wellness and the emotional wellness of the child.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, that is the starting point, that under the law, both the mother and the father are considered to be equal in terms of providing for this child and providing every need that this child has.
Yeah.
Of course, this conversation is much easier when you're both living in a house together. It might not count. I gave 2 shillings. Where's your 2 shillings? You might not tally and say, at the end of the month, it has to be, I have given 50,000 and you've given 50,000. But when you're co-parenting, the child is living in 2 different homes, or is living in one home primarily, then now we have to start quantifying what does that equal responsibility mean.
Yeah.
Of course, we know it's not easy to say equal custody because it's a child. You cannot split. Exactly what I was going to say. You cannot split them into half and say now this half stays with the father, this half stays with the brother.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you have to figure out in these 365 days, what does equal custody or what does shared and joint custody look like?
Yeah.
And then at the same time, when it comes to providing for the child, what does that equality look like? Because we also recognize that people also have different abilities. So maybe one of you has more money than the other. Would it be fair to say that we all contribute equally, yet you are more financially capable of providing that contribution? So all those are things that the court will sit down and look at into trying to determine what does equality look like. But the basic part is, I don't think anybody can escape from providing. People do escape, but I don't think the law is trying to say that you should not try and escape from providing for your child.
Yeah. I feel like the law has changed because there was a time when women could go to court and ask for, large sums of maintenance and get it. So when did that change happen? Because you find that people who were existing in those times and presided over co-parenting court cases will advise new co-parents in that style of thinking, like the one with more money needs to replicate the lifestyle across the board. But now the court does not require that.
We go now to the other concept, which is found under the law, which is the best interest of the child.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when people are talking about replicating the lifestyle of the child, keep the child in that lifestyle you have accustomed them to.
Yeah.
Now we're going to be talking less about equality and more about the best interest of the child.
Okay.
Because it would obviously be very unfair to a child who has grown up going to 5-star education schools and living this very good life that has been provided by the capability of one parent. And then you come back and tell them, now you leave. We are going to look at your mom's capability, dad's capability, and you must downgrade them.
Like maybe you move someone there, Kiimani, as you move them to the rural, Narok.
To Narok, exactly. Yeah, to the heart of Narok, or even the schools. You've come from a private school, and then now maybe you have to go to a public school.
Yeah.
So really, at the end of the day, in as much as we are not trying to put undue financial burden on, and I don't think any court would want to put a huge financial burden. If you are capable of doing it, then there's no reason why your child should be denied.
That sounds like it's voluntary, but was there a time when it was imposed? It was actually imposed on the wealthier parent to replicate.
Yes, and I think when you say it has changed, I don't know whether it has entirely changed. I think it's that maybe the precedents that have been coming out of court are now more looking at how are we all contributing to this child.
Yeah.
If I am able to prove that you have the capability and this is actually the lifestyle you have given your child, because I want to be cautious, and not to sound like I am accusing anybody.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times that there was that exaggeration
of
now my child has to go for an international trip in a year, or the monthly upkeep of this child is 300,000 every single month. And then there has to, I think what the court was now trying to do was say, okay, can we be reasonable, and you need to actually substantiate that you were actually spending 300,000.
Yeah.
But I am yet to see a court which agrees that that a child who was going to Breban can be moved to the local primary school or high school, and a parent is capable of paying for those fees.
Yeah.
You see, so outside of really extenuating circumstances where maybe you are capable of paying for their fees previously, but now you're no longer able to pay for their fees.
Yeah.
You really must go to court to prove that I am completely unable to do it. But for you to come and say, I have the money, but I do not want to give to my child, and yet this is you who took them to that school, it would be difficult.
Issue.
Yeah.
So the other thing that a lot of usually moms, from my own experience, then when people are talked to, it's usually moms who, like, maybe when we were married, let's say I was a stay-at-home mom, I was taking care of the kids, taking care of the family, and I didn't get a job. I did not further my studies. But what I was doing was enabling my ex-husband to do it, to further his career. So when we part ways, aside from everything he was giving me, I have nothing. I don't have transport. I don't have a place to stay. Really, I'm going to live with my parents. Like, let's say I'm homeless and everything. So the guy then says, let me stay with the children. I can take care of them. I find that that's the thing that a lot of couples have struggled with. So you find that a lady who left a very opulent city where is now struggling with their children. What are the options for such a co-parenting group?
So, and especially when it comes to custody, there is an idea that as long as I have custody of the child, I will not have to pay for maintenance. And I think a lot of times maintenance is where people fight.
Yeah,
people fight. People might not fight about school fees, or might not fight about health insurance and all those things to do with it.
Because they're tangible.
Because they're tangible, and it can be paid to a third party.
Oh,
see, like with school fees, I don't have to give you the school fees. I can give the school fees to somebody to the school.
Yeah,
so they can be paid to a third party. In health insurance, I can just make sure that the child has a health insurance card. I don't need to actually give you. But maintenance is where people have a problem, because there's that idea that I am moving money from my wallet and giving it to this other, feeding you.
Yes.
And I get. And now when I have to remove this money, I have to take this money and I don't have control of how you shall use it. Because once I give you the money, once money has entered into my Mpesa, what I use it for, I might dress the children, I might buy school clothes. It really just depends.
Yeah.
So that issue of maintenance is where the biggest problem, I think the biggest argument that you ever raise around co-parenting is usually around maintenance. But even when we talk about custody, people have to recognize that there are certain rules that are found in the law. So custody cannot just be granted because you have the ability. Yeah, remember we go back to the idea of best interest of the child. So especially if you're having children who are under the age of 10, unless you can really show that the mother is unfit, ordinarily, that child is left in the custody of the mother. Yeah, so any child under the age of 10 is considered to be too young to be separated from the mother. So that's the first thing. You'll go and you find court. If you have a fighting over a 5-year-old, you will be told this 5-year-old is a child who is in need of motherly care. Attention. Please give them back to the mother. And then for children who are older, above 10, the court also takes into consideration their own wishes. So especially you find children who are 10, 11, 12, 13, they'll actually be asked, you'll be kicked out as parents and told to go and study in the corridor. Leave me here with your children. And they will be asked, who do you wish to stay with? Who do you want to stay with? Do you want to stay with mom? Do you want to stay with dad? And why? And want to understand why is it happening? Where would you want to stay with dad or where would you want to stay with mom? So, and so I'm speaking from the perspective of now you're in court. So that's a part. So that is what is going to happen. So you cannot just come to court and say, I have the ability to pay for my child. I don't want to give the mother maintenance. I want them to stay with me. So there has to be the only reason the court will take primary custody away from a parent, especially if you look for mothers when the children are below 10, you must show this woman is completely incapable. Not financially, mentally, that they are unfit to be a parent. But you cannot just come and say, I do not want to pay maintenance.
So let's say she's living in a slum, and then this guy, or in the rural area, some even maybe it's a good place, but it's just impossible. It's a place that has no amenities nearby, remote. And she just knows this is not what I want to put my child through. I can take care of myself, but I don't want my child to be in this situation. However, I don't have a job, I don't have education, I don't. What are the options?
So
I feel like it's a trap.
It's a trap. So actually, it's so interesting. I think I've been in court and I had, there was a time I was in court and I had a magistrate basically saying it's not the business of the court. It's not the business of the court to say that a child must be kept in this particular standard. You will live with your child how you can, what then will live with them, what you can provide. So this idea that you go to court and say, my child is living in a slum. You know how many children living in slums?
That's true.
My child is living in a remote area with no amenities.
And they're not children.
And they're not children. So they can't really come in to start saying, no, we have to place a standard for you as parents to meet as to how your child will be kept. No, they're saying that you must just meet the basic needs. What are you supposed to do? School, housing, education, food, shelter, clothing, to the ability, to your financial ability. So they cannot ask you to do more than what you can. But I think, and maybe this is where for me, instead of it being an argument between two parents, is that we recognize that there's an opportunity for the parents to come together and make an agreement that suits them. So like in that situation, if I'm completely unable to take care of my child, and I've seen this happening, and I've seen people who do this, even as women saying that, okay, no, it's okay. You can have that primary custody because when the child is in your care, they will be able to get all of these different things that I am not able to provide them. And I will engage with the child, either take them for only day or take them over the weekend. So really that then becomes a unique custody arrangement that is between the two parents, and which is completely permitted under law. Yes, also it doesn't. There's no other that says the child has to stay with you. It's actually for now for the both of you to agree. Forward.
I find that most parents who are able to agree sometimes might not even go to court because situations are so unique. It's hard to, you go to court just to put a stamp on it. Have you come across such cases where parents have been able to agree and now they're just coming for just, ceremonial purposes?
So yes, and there's so many parents who do this. I'd say it's called, you agree out of court. You either go through mediation. If you're completely unable to, in the first instance, sit down and talk the way we are talking and come up with this is how we are going to our children. There's also an option for mediation. In those both of those processes, whether we're just talking to each other and negotiating or we're going through mediation, you come up with a document called a parental responsibility agreement. And that agreement, it will touch on everything. It will touch on custody, it will touch on religion. If it's important, if religion is such a big issue to the both of you, it will touch on religion. It will touch on the culture you want your child to come up to be brought up with. It will even touch on how you make decisions. It will even touch on how, if you're unable to make decisions, how do we solve them? And then it will talk about maintenance, custody, all the different things that you can ever think, education, everything that you can think about your child. So because this child is consistently growing. If you're talking about a child who's 2 years old, they are not going to school. Next day you'll think about, hey, Belen was going to pay school fees. And how would school fees be paid? Or that they will go to high school. And that comes with its own burden. Or when they get to university, like all those, there are so many different stages that children go through. So it's completely okay for the parents to come up, and I think it's a better option for you to come up with that agreement. And what normally you do is take it to court, and then the court ratifies it. The court makes it into an order. And when it becomes an order, if anyone decides now 10 years down the line, no longer want to be bound by this agreement, the other person can enforce and say, you promised you're going to give this amount of money every single month, you're no longer giving it. So
what's the duration of a PRA?
Generally, it should ideally cover the life of a child. The period that they're a child. I would say that I think because things change so much. Those 18 years, it is a living document. It's something that is constantly renegotiated. That's my experience. Because what we thought about was okay for our 5-year-olds. Circumstances change also. Maybe 5 years down the line, me who was supposed to give 100,000 every single month. I'm no longer in that position. But you are. You understand? And then so that circumstance has changed, and we need to come back and renegotiate. So it's something that it's a document. It can't be cast in stone. It has to constantly be moving and take into account so many different things. But if you're on the same page as parents, you're able to sit down and discuss and negotiate. It should be something that and especially if you're thinking about what's right for your child, it should be something that you should be able to negotiate as parents.
Talking about agreements, court orders, and then maybe I'm also bitter with these parents. They wronged me. I think there's a lot of unfairness going on. So I'm going through psychological damage, which I know you have to deal with a lot. If I was asking if you guys have courses for psychology within your legal,
it's surprising. That's a real club. It's a made up. In fact, I think we are called counselors. So I think we
also
we actually become, especially family law. You become a
how did you guys escape at
psychology 101? But you need to have a lot of, I think, emotional intelligence, and a lot of understanding. Having been in this case, done family law cases, the one thing I can assure you is that even for us as the advocates, there's an emotional tone that it is for us. It is tedious, it is emotional. Because, and it's so interesting, until the parties are able to either find a way to work with each other, respect their agreements, or they're able to forgive each other.
Yeah.
It's even 5 years down the line, people are still carrying that bitterness.
Yeah.
So you can imagine you're dealing with someone who's bitter, and you're trying to explain to them, by the way, is this really the right thing for your child? But I'm stuck because I'm annoyed with this person, they did this, or they've treated me in this way. I'm still stuck on that part of he must do this or she must do this. And then you're not able to maybe sit down and negotiate, sit down and be the bigger person, sit down and think differently, sit down and even come to an agreement that is the best thing for your child. So it really depends. Yeah.
One thing I imagine would take such an emotional toll on any woman or man is having to go to court every other time to ask for your 50%. I've paid school fees 50%, but you haven't. Or I've paid for the last 3 years, you've never paid. Now you have to, and maybe this other person doesn't want to do it. So I'm hurting from this full situation. And then I feel like going to court is so painful. It's something I want to avoid like a plague.
Yeah.
So what I'm likely to do, me personally, my temperament is just to say, you know what? I'll do it by myself. I don't want to bother with you, negotiate with you. So, as a counselor, what is your counsel?
Okay, so I think that is something that happens a lot, that people get to a breaking point and say, now I am tired.
Yeah.
And especially where you feel like I am forcing the other party, my other parent or parent, to meet their responsibility to our child.
Yeah.
I think that's a very hurtful space.
Yeah.
You understand? They have to force you. I think to take care of your child or our child, it's very hurtful.
There are many things that are going on. If I feel like now I need to take it to court, it means I don't have enough money there to do this. I'm struggling.
Yeah.
So the pain from the struggle, and then now the costs that come taking you to court.
Yeah.
That's, if I'm already struggling, then I have to pay the lawyer. There's so many things that are going on.
And it's not just the lawyer, because there are people who you even have to go and get warrants of arrest.
Yeah.
You have to pay the police to go look for them in their places of work, for them to be arrested and brought to court, for them to explain why is it that they are not taking up their responsibility.
Even taught us fees, isn't it?
Yes.
Make application.
But at least with the children's court, the fees are not so high. But of course, you might say not so high, like at least but yeah,
we are even in debt. That's even if I had.
Unfortunately, and it's just one of the way the system has been created, is that the only way for you to access your rights is to go to court. But as you said, the other option is to just say, let me do this to the best of my ability. And because this is something we're talking about, something that is civil, that it's an issue, it's not a criminal case. It's something that is between two individuals, and there is no space where somebody will now say, I have gone to report you, and you will go to jail for failing to pay. So I know in some jurisdictions, I think it's in America, people have been, you can jail the person if they have not been.
Yeah.
I think there's some jurisdictions where there's a criminal element to it.
Is there one in Kenya?
Not really.
Someone can be jailed.
What we do is to get a warrant of arrest, which if you fail to explain, just like if I had a civil debt, I owed you money and I'm not paying you, you can get a warrant of arrest, and then either to come and say how I'm going to pay you, or I'll be arrested. That's actually now the space that it's in.
So that warrant of arrest, someone can come and cook a story and they are let loose.
No. Once you're there in front of the magistrate or the judge, you're there to pay. In fact, you'll be let go until you pay a particular amount of money.
Oh.
So you either clear the full amount, and even if you sit and pay 50% today and next week and pay the other 50%, we told it's okay. Next week you come back here with the 50%.
And then
so you're being compelled and paying. Like if you don't pay or if you don't give a reason, so, yeah.
Yeah, and I find like there are personality types that don't mind that back and forth. And me, I can't stand it. I can't imagine I'm going to court to get a 50% in this week, and and then next week I'm going, then maybe it gives me 50% of that 50%.
Yeah.
That back and forth is just tedious.
Yeah. So I think it's unfortunate, and it's just, we find very many different characters.
Yeah.
Like, I've also had to work with clients who were not interested in taking up their responsibilities. So even as we are trying to cancel them and explain that again, you should be paying this amount, they are doing their best to make sure that they don't pay that amount.
Yeah.
But it always boils down to, if you put away your egos, if you put away your pride, if you put away your anger, your bitterness, and you concentrated all of you on the child, it would not be very difficult for you to do the right thing for your child.
Yeah. I think one sign that someone is bitter, if you're watching this, please. I'm holding up a mirror. Check. Yeah, see if you see yourself.
Yeah.
I feel like one sign that someone is bitter is if I'm willing to pay a lawyer like 100K. Well, instead of 50K for my child's school fee. That makes no sense.
Well, that's true. Unfortunately, this is where we make our money. What I'd say is that you must really have a reason as to why you are either contesting. Is it you feel that it's unfair? Is it you feel that the court erred in how they made the decision? So go back to the reasons why. If it is to make a point, okay, put that point aside and concentrate on your child. Because even if you feel the court made an error in all those things, put all those things aside and concentrate on your child. Because actually that's what the court does. When you talk about best interests of the child, you will come, and I see this happening over and over again, you will come with all of, but she did, and he did, and so, and the court said the magistrate will just indulge it, listen to you, and go back to what? The child. Yeah, they will not even touch, she did this. She did just to come home at night. He would come home at 2 a.m. The court just looks at you, listens, you will vent out all your problems with each other, but goes back to what? The child. So if us as parents, we're able to also go back to the child, really, if you put that child in the middle, in fact, so when we do mediation, I'm also a mediator. When we do mediation,
that's close to conflict.
Yeah, that's close to conflict. So when we do mediation, we try and move people away from he did, she did, I'm annoyed, all those bitternesses and annoyance, and we keep on bringing you back to, okay, you've said all of that. Okay, now let's come back to the child. Let's center the child. The problem is, how are we going to take care of this child for the next 10, 15, 18 years? How do we take care of this child? And if you are able to move people away from those egos and pride and anger and bitterness towards looking at the child, then you are able to move them forward towards a better co-parenting situation.
Yeah. Well, I think
and I hope I have talked to someone who's in this situation and realizes, let me put away my problem and look at my child.
Yeah. I guess when we're in the heart of it, our problems look valid.
Yes.
I feel like if my ex-partner, ex-husband or ex-wife betrayed me like this, they're probably going to betray my child. How can I trust my child? How can I entrust my child to someone I don't trust?
But I think, at the end of the day, maybe this is me becoming a counselor, is I feel like these are two totally different relationships that you're talking about. Because your relationship with your ex that was a romantic relationship.
Yeah.
That's a totally different relationship.
Sure.
And his relationship or her relationship with your child is a totally different. And if you're able to divorce your emotions from my partner hurt me, especially if they have previously been a good parent. And you understand, they have not been an abusive parent. They have not, and here, in fact, I think we are speaking in a space where both parents are good parents. Because there's another side of it where one parent is abusive or hurtful, and so that's a totally different thing you need to consider. But if he's been a good parent, remove your romantic, the romantic relationship has ended. That's okay. Now you concentrate on how are you as a parent? Are you involved? Do you care about your child? Do you provide for your child? So what you should be looking at is trying to ensure that relationship continues, as opposed to being the person who's blocking that relationship. To me, that's my perspective. So if I'm seated somewhere, even if I was to advise a client, and I think I remember those, I've done this before, where I sat down and I just told her, look, at the end of the day, is he a good father? If the answer is yes,
it's so hard to say yes. When you're doing it, you're like, no, he's not up there. He's a bad person.
No, but he's a bad person to you. Is he a good person to your child? Is he a good dad to your child? If he's a good dad to your child, he's providing, he does things that they have a relationship. Don't be the person who's hindering that relationship.
Yeah.
Allow that relationship to continue. Because the truth of the matter is that your child needs a father, your child needs the mother.
Yeah.
So, and it cuts both ways. If she is a good parent, don't be the person trying to hinder that relationship. Let that relationship continue. So once you put that perspective to me, when you put that perspective in place, then you say, okay, our personal relationship has ended, and I'm annoyed with you because you did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but you're a good dad, and I do not want to be the reason why my child is missing out on having a good father.
Yeah.
And if you're able to do that, I think that's maybe step 1, the biggest hurdle.
That's a hurdle.
That's a hurdle. If you're able to put that aside, it's all right. You're a good parent. Then I'm not. In fact, it lessens the question about custody.
Yeah,
because you're not saying the child has to stay with me 100% of the time. Like, why would you deny your child the other parent? Yeah. And then maybe the other note I'd make is that whenever we go to court, and I can assure you most times, is that the court will side with the person who's most reasonable. Remember, we're both coming with asks.
How do you discern reasonability?
So reasonability is actually just within what the law is providing. We talk about equal. So if you're coming in as the mother and you are seeking maintenance, show the court how you are also providing for your child.
Yeah.
Your ability.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
So you just say, I am able to bring in 30,000 shillings, but this child needs 80,000 every month. So please give me the extra. I need 50,000, but I will bring 30,000. The court will look at you and say, well, that's reasonable. You have at least taken some part of that burden. But the parent who comes and says, I've paid nothing, then you'll be told that's unreasonable because you can't refuse to pay anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't say, I'm not going to pay anything. That's ridiculous.
How does a court handle someone who says they won't pay anything, but it's because they don't have anything? But I want my child, I want to participate by staying with them, but I just want you to facilitate me to stay with them.
Okay, so that's an interesting situation, and I think they look at a lot of things. If I am completely unable to pay anything, first of all, the question would be why? Because you're an imagine I have been in situations that, in fact, there's a ruling that I saw where the man had let go of his job. He had left and used the fact that I am no longer working as a reason why I'm not going to contribute to my child.
That's another sign of someone who is not healed.
Yes, unreasonable reasons. And we were told, by the way, you are an adult and you need to go and look for a job. So you are not going to remove the responsibility from you.
Yeah.
It is up to you to go and look for a job. Having said that, I don't think it's impossible for them to appreciate the situation that someone, a genuine situation. So we normally have something called affidavits of means, where you're asked to show where your money is coming from and what your costs are.
Yeah.
And through that, the court can assess, okay, your ability or capability is maybe 10,000 shillings. Or maybe your capability is putting a half over the child's head. No, but even if I cannot quantify and say I have put in 50,000 towards rent, even if the child is living with you and your parent, you have taken care of a need. You've taken care of the need for shelter.
Yeah.
So, and that has a monetary cost.
Yeah.
When the child is with you, even if you are to be given 50,000, that is not quite 100% of what that child will need every single month.
True.
So there are some needs that you will cater for whether it's through well-wishers, whether it's through your parents, that you will be the one to pay for them. Yeah. Beyond, that 50,000 won't pay for electricity, it might not pay for water, may not be able to cover electricity, water, and it might be a portion of what that is needed for the child. So there's that nuance that is looked at.
Yeah.
But especially if you're able to show, I'm not able to give physically money, but I am able to meet these particular needs of my child, then there should be no problem with that. Yeah. But now, again, you need to be able to prove why you can't work. Or even just saying genuinely, I'm looking for a job. Yeah. And the day I get a job, and it's okay to tell the court that right now I am in a space I don't have a job. But the day I get a job, I am willing and able to participate in my child's financial needs. Yeah. And I think that one they would listen to.
Yeah, I think even in vitu kwa ground situations, that communication is in slacks, and people get so bitter with each other. I get so bitter with my partner, my ex-partner, when I think that they're just abandoning. They're not abandoning. They're just in a season where they genuinely don't have enough money. Let's talk about different socioeconomic class difference, so that one spouse is wealthy and the other one is not. So let's say the wealthy spouse, I've seen cases where the wealthy, I put that in quotes, I don't know if wealthy people think they're wealthy. I feel like everyone is trying to get more. Yeah.
We all try to get more.
Yeah. Let's say the better endowed partner wants to take their child to a certain school, the 5-star school, as you call it. And just put their child, especially the school, because that's a commitment. Yeah, once you pay school fees, there's no going back unless you decide to move. So, and then this other party wants to participate, but like maybe school fees is 200K. And what I can participate is a K. So, that's just something that is negligible in light of that other, and they about. Yeah.
So one of the things I've seen people do is split down. So for example, I can do school fees, you do school uniform and books, and, so you feel that
Even as books, like book, being the poor parent, when you're the poor, and again I put that in quotes. Yeah. I was telling someone some cases are rich dad, poor mom, or rich mom, poor dad. So being the poor parents, even a book, the book is how much? 3K. I don't have 3K. I honestly don't have 3K. Although, okay, I know you can always get what you need to get.
Yeah.
But how, I don't know, be a counselor now.
I mean, so this is where I'd look at being able, especially through mediation, being able to hash the issue out between the parties in a way that you're able to appreciate what the other side is going through. Because if I'm completely saying I'm unable to do this, I need to be able to express it to my ex-partner and say, this is the situation I am in. And he needs to be in a space, or she needs to be in a space where they can understand and listen to what we are saying.
Yeah.
And be able to appreciate and say, okay, I can say you're really, really struggling. If I was to do this in a mediation setting, I would actually be trying to get each of you to understand this is the space, this is what she's saying, this is the space she's in, and this is the space you're in. And how can we then together come up with a way that both parties are feeling that they are contributing to the child's welfare? So, and as a mediator, I would actually be pushing to move away, to stop thinking about contribution as financial, and to start thinking about contribution as the whole child.
I think even one contribution that is underrated is presence, isn't it?
Exactly.
So I've seen a lot of fathers who struggle, fathers especially, I've seen a lot of fathers who struggle financially will altogether abandon because they're embarrassed of what their mom is saying, or they just, it's a way of burying in the sand.
Or they have put for themselves a standard saying that for me to be present for my child, it means that I need financially contribute.
Yeah.
So and even in marriages, let's be very honest that this also happens in marriages where the dad has limited in his mind what it means to be a dad. And what it means to be a dad is financial contribution into this home. And so I've checked out. You can be in the house, but you don't spend time with your children. You don't even know what class they're in, what their problems are. You're not there to give them emotional guidance or spiritual guidance, or whatever type of guidance you have to give as a father. So then if you're in the situation where you do not have that ability to contribute anymore financially, then you have completely erased yourself from your child's life.
That's true.
You see, and you need to, that's what I'm saying. For me, I'd look at contribution to be more than just financial contribution, because then we'll be talking about, that's how do we all look at holistically for the child. My child doesn't just need money. They need a parent who is listening to them. They need a parent who cares for them. They need someone who will play games. They need someone who will be disciplinarian.
The other day I was doing laundry with my son. Okay, I wasn't making, but guys are like, how dare you? I was just with him. I told him, wash yourself clearly, and it's just, it's nothing. He went start playing with the water, and it took forever to wash clothes, but it was so fulfilling. Something that could have taken me like maybe 30 minutes, probably took me 3 hours. Because he's done water, he dipped himself in the water. I think that's priceless, and you can't pay for that.
You can't pay for that. Being able to do those things, you can't pay for it. And it's true. In fact, I normally say, if people have different, you want that your child has a relationship with both parents. Maybe one parent, I put it in quotes, the silly parent, the parent who will roll around, because with the boys, who will roll around on a carpet with them, throw them in the air, run around. That child needs that.
Aki kwanza, that. Why do you handle your toddler like with that? You're like, do you even want him to leave?
I'm just remembering Ogechi throwing his child into the pool, like.
Ogechi, why?
I'm just remembering that video, and I'm like, wow, but that child, you see, Ogechi's son needs to have food,
and the mother would have provided.
No, for sure, I find this true. So that's it. So if you start thinking about contribution beyond financial, I remember what I said at the beginning is that there's even how the language is called somehow talks mostly about financial contribution in the Constitution. But if you go beyond financial contribution as the marker and think about contribution being holistic, being everything that is good for the child, then you're able to then come in and say, I'm not able to provide financially. But I would like this child to be because my presence is important. I want, even if I'm not done paying the school fees, can I please be meeting with the teachers?
Yes.
Can I come for parents teachers conferences? Can I go for the plays and the swimming galas and sports days and everything, so that I'm encouraging my child. So you need to be able to understand that it is more than just one thing.
Oh my, that is powerful. I just want you, if you're watching, I feel like I want to say this. If you're watching and you're in a corner where you feel inadequate, well, just do what you can.
Yes.
Even if your other parent lives in some estate, some pathless estate, and where people don't walk. There's an estate I was driving through, and it looks like ghost town by like 8 p.m. I'm like, there's no one walking. There are no even cars here. I was like, you can see houses, very big houses,
and lights,
and you can hear dogs. But I'm like, do people live at least here? And it's so quiet, and like it's tucked away in their city. So maybe your other parent lives in such an estate. Now we were at a garage, even our bicycle. You're walking, walk, just walk there. Confidently go to your child. I've come to pick my child, and then take a walk.
And I think the other thing is, especially for younger children, and even I think even older children would appreciate, is that the spending of time is actually what matters the most to them.
To children, yeah.
Especially, below a particular age, they might not even discern whether here we reached by driving or today we walk.
Sometimes
Because the walk is the exciting thing.
Yes.
The adventure. Yeah, today we went for an adventure with mom. We went on it, and then we went to this place which had green grass and we rolled around and we had fun.
Yeah.
And then we came back home. So it's about, the truth of the matter is, a lot of times with kids, to me, my experience as a mom, it's more about time spent with your child and less about money spent on your child.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you want them to value time and less of money.
Yeah.
Yeah. To me, I would want my child to value the time spent with me and less of the amount of money I spent on them.
Yeah.
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 I think that's profound. So, talking of custody, there's this lady, she relocated. So when she went to court to get custody for her child, the court did not give her custody. And of course, the dad was contesting. So she relocated. So she was given some responsibilities like clothes and everything. That's what the court was right. When she relocated, when she talks to the child is always at the dad's parents' place. So, okay, I know that's a two-pronged question.
Yes.
Because there's the issue of relocation, but then there's also the issue of custody. I guess let's look at custody first. So maybe you're the dad and the mom, we're contesting custody, and you win for some reason. Maybe they say, I'm not fit to care for the child. Or maybe when you don't want to give me upkeep, and I don't want to raise the child without upkeep. Because I've done my math, I need that upkeep. So I concede to take it. Then you take it and you dump your child to your parents. What are my options there? Is there a duty that do I need to now go to court and say, no, this guy is not being honest? Yeah, especially if you have the evidence that the child is no longer with the parent who has been given custody. And you need to look at custody. Once you get granted custody by the court, it's actually a serious thing. Yeah, the court is actually telling you, we are entrusting a child of Kenya. So stop thinking about it as my child in your childhood. A child of Kenya. This is a child who has all these rights, these needs. We are entrusting this child to you. Yeah.
Not to the care. The court has deemed you the parent who's before them, as the right person to have care over that child.
Yeah.
They did not go to examine your parents, the grandparents of the child, or the aunties or the uncles or whoever.
Yeah.
They examined you and said you are the correct person. So when you then take the children and give them to the custody of somebody else, to me, that's a serious issue.
It's serious.
Yeah. To me, it's a serious issue because you are the one who has been, either you fought for custody and won, or that the parties came and agreed you shall have custody. Yeah. So the fact that you can then hand over to somebody else and you have a court order saying the children should stay with you, now that's a place where the law will sit up and say, hey, you're not supposed to do that.
Let me complicate it a bit. Let's say the child stays with the parents 5 out of 7 days a week. So the school is near the grandparents' home. So during all the weekdays of school days, the child is at the grandparents. And then I, the dad, I take him over the weekend. Is that something that I can take to court as a mom?
I think it would just depend on, I would say yes, especially because you're talking about majority of the time. The child is not with the primary parent.
Yeah.
And they should be with the primary parent. So even as the dad, by the way, if you have the ability to take the child to a particular school, perhaps you can also look for a house close to that school.
Yeah.
You understand? Like there are options.
Yeah.
So you can't say I was completely without options.
Mm-hmm.
So or you can move in. with your parents.
Yeah,
with your parents. Yeah. So that you're there as a primary caregiver.
Yeah.
Because remember, we're talking about it being more than just financial. If you're talking about holistically for the child, what does it mean for this child to be deprived of both parents?
Yeah.
For majority of the time. Yeah. And that's a serious issue. In terms of how to then rectify the situation, a lot of it would mean going back to court. And you have to go back to court. And court is moved by evidence. I say this all the time. You have to be able to show to the court that this child is no longer in the custody of their father. They are in the custody of somebody else. And then now the court then has to sit down and determine whether that place is still the best place for the child, or whether they need to make a variation, or they need to tell the primary parent, this child must be in your custody.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go into getting a passport. We both have to be present if we want a passport for the child.
If the name is on there, birth certificate. Yeah. And in fact, the interesting thing, so I did this process with my kids. The dad was actually not present. So they don't think you both have to be present, but you both have to sign.
Okay.
As parents. So you need both signatures, and the passports are linked to the parents' passports. So what will happen is that the minor can't travel without the consent of both parents. Yeah. Because it's linked. If you look at the passport, I think when you go into if you've traveled and you do especially the new passports, if you put the child's passport, it's actually linked to a parent's passport. Yeah, so that parent has to have given consent for the child to travel. Yeah.
It's linked to both parents' passport, or just the one who's traveling?
I think it's both. You can see both parents' passports on it, but I'm not sure. Don't quote me. You may just remember seeing it when we were I remember seeing that it's the document, the travel document for a child is linked to the parents' travel documents.
Oh, okay.
And that means for the child minor to leave, you have to have consent. And in fact, majority of the embassies, before they give you a visa, will ask to see consent from the other parent. Yeah.
I'm sorry for someone who just wants to go for vacation and they have a deadbeat co-parent. Is no way to be far.
Yeah, you look for them because now they're on the birth certificate. And I know there are many people who I've seen people trying to either remove the name from the birth certificate.
Yeah.
Or is it possible? You have to have an user in that.
I don't know where they are.
You don't know. Yeah, I don't know. In fact, I'm not sure. Maybe check. But yeah, but I'm not sure what you need to prove. But you can ask and petition for the name to be removed.
Okay.
And then but
so I'll ask you that.
Yeah, to work at that end. I'll check and later on tell you.
Okay.
Yeah. But basically, as a parent, and you need to have the consent of the other parent to get a travel document and for your child to leave. Yeah.
What are the cases in which this mother could have been given a chance to relocate with the child without much fighting?
So, to be honest, you need the other parents' consent. And I say this because I think as a country, we need to be generous about where our children are growing up.
Okay.
So the court will be really, really reluctant to allow for a minor to live without both parents saying it's okay.
Yeah.
Especially when you're talking about completely relocating out of the country. So I think there's a situation which I dealt with. The mother had tried initially and was unable to get the go ahead from the court or an order from the court. And it required us to do mediation with the dad to look for him first of all.
Yeah.
And this guy had nothing to do with his child, nothing. Was not living with the child, was not taking care of the child, nothing. But we had to look for him and bring him to the table and explain the situation. And
How did you even find him?
just asking around each other. We look for it, and he came in touch to disappear completely.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think we looked and made sure that they come, sit down, explain to them why this is necessary, explain to him why it is a good thing for his child.
Yeah.
I think there were some concessions made around holiday. Could say, okay, fine, but I want my child to be coming, so it's okay, fine, the child will be coming once a year. Every year to spend time with you, even if they are
You suddenly he wants time.
yes. So there are some concessions that had to be made, but eventually he signed and was able to get the documents to travel. But so that you see those, that's just the showing you that even if the parent is completely not available or not involved, you still need their consent to
Yeah. You told me you had gone with the consent document.
Yes, we went to the written. The only thing we did was to add the concessions. We were like, we're not leaving this room. Bring the laptop. Let's edit. We wanted them ready because you also know that a lot of times someone might leave and have a change of heart. Yeah, and yes.
So you had the printer in the room. Sorry, I'm being pet.
We were if we're in an office.
So there was like printer something.
Yes.
Would you?
And you before we leave, let us say this right now. Yeah, and you had to do it like that because it's very easy for someone to change their mind.
Yeah.
Or have a change of heart or disappear completely. Yeah. And it was time sensitive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just winding up the show, how can I remove the name of a parent from the child's birth certificate if I feel like it will be to my benefit? Because I think having the name of a parent who just is unreasonable can be tedious for life, and I can reach a point where I just want to remove it so that I don't have to keep looking for this person when I want to travel or when I want to do something that requires his consent.
So, firstly, the law does not really do not envision such a situation that someone would want to come in, remove the name of a parent.
Yeah.
The process would be through court. And why I'm not sure whether there's been any cases, but I feel like it's a very uphill task. Because first of all, just removing the name of somebody, either both of you as parents, you've agreed that I'm going to remove your name and you've accepted I want my name to be removed.
Yeah.
Then where both of you are in agreement, there's no reason why it should remain. The other situation usually could be where you decide I'm married and my now spouse is interested in taking up parental responsibility, but the person who's named in the birth certificate has not been taking up his parental responsibility. So in that case, then I have to go back to court and show that I am married, we're legally married to this new person, and they are interested in taking, and they give their approval and say, yes, I want to take up parental responsibility. But you see, there's still the other parent. So you'd also have to be able to show that this other parent has no objection to being removed from the birth certificate.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the last one would be perhaps where the person, you've proven that I am not the biological parent of the child. So it's really an uphill task. It's something that it would not be done lightly, by the court, because you are then denying this child a part of their heritage, which is important. So if this is actually the biological parent, removing the name of the child from the birth certificate could maybe also affect whether or not that child will be able to inherit from their father, from their father's estate later on in life, might hamper any relationships that or heritage that he may have picked from his grandparents or his father. So it's something that they would really take it seriously before and have very, very good results as to why the name should be removed before they can do that. Yeah.
That's a very comprehensive answer, because I was asking, because I'm imagining that sometimes it can be so tedious. They'll have to send out police to look for this person. He cannot be found, he cannot be traced. Just to get his consent, and then maybe he's just being unreasoned. From your answer, it seems like that is still easier than trying to release his name.
Yes.
Yeah.
It will still be yes. And I think at the end of the day, even when you have someone who the parent is refusing to comply, I think first of all, that situation happens more often than not, where you have one parent was completely declined to take part in the parenting. And it happens. So that's why we hear about deadbeat moms or deadbeat dads, and someone has completely exited, even abandoned their child, even when their name is on the child's name is their name is on the child's birth certificate. But the thing about it is that you really have to have a compelling reason for the court to then agree to remove someone's name from the birth certificate. It has been really compelling reason.
Yeah. All right. Now, there's the question of custody. There are parents who decide to deny custody to the other parent. And sometimes this is done, by just denying you complete access to me. I don't pick your calls, I blocked you, I hidden from you, can't find me. And then at other times, it's done by altering the perceptions of the child, so that the child despises you. So how do you deal with that?
So, first of all, and I think I wish there was a quick answer. And the answer is to go to court. I wish there was a way I could say, you can do X, Y, Z and magic fix, but actually it is you can only access your rights through court, especially when the other side is denying. If you are unable to come to the table to agree on how to co-parent effectively, then the method that is available for you is actually through court. So if you can't negotiate together as parties, if you can't mediate, if you can't bring in family members to help you come to the same space and understand and agree on a good way forward, the option is going to court. I think the court would respect and try and ensure that you have custody, and to have a way of you having access to your child, because there's no way that the law will allow for a parent who's willing and able to be part and to participate in their child's life, and saying no, you cannot participate in your child's life. If you are genuine and you're asking for that opportunity to have joint custody, you need to go to court and get it as a court order, because then once you have it as a court order, it will be now enforcing. You have refused me. The child is supposed to come to my house on this and this day and live on this and this day. You have refused to allow me to have access to the child. I have been in court where, in fact, the child was being passed through through the police or the court officers. The father is here, the mother is there. Give the child to this person, and then the child is handed over to the mother. Because the parents cannot say eye to eye. Yeah? But the court had to do that and say, okay, you refuse to bring custody, you refuse to allow the other parent to have custody. Who was refusing? The man. And it was a small boy, like a 2-year-old. Yeah. And so he was told, when you come back next to court, you have to come back with that child. And he came back with the child. And for sure, they had to do a handoff. He's refusing to give the child over to the mother. Yeah. Fine. So you have to give the child to a third party. Child is given to somebody else. Again, then the child is given to you. And the reason, that means that there would be, everybody will look for a way to make sure that custody happens. Yeah. There are also children's officers. So a lot of times, if you're not able to have that proper access, or custody, and one person is refusing, the court can also say, you have to take the child to the children's office and then have a neutral place where the handoff is happening. Whether it's to the child officers, they have offices, So I have to leave my house, then the other parent is, so that we go to the children's office and ensure that the custody arrangement is being honored. And if you don't, when we talked about enforcement, a lot of times in children's matters, the enforcement is actually through a warrant of arrest, especially things like custody. So if you're not maybe obeying the court orders, and you're then brought to court for failure to obey the court orders, they will look for a way. That's contempt of court, and the court has to look for a way to ensure that you obey those orders. But as we said, it is emotionally draining, very draining, yes. But if it's something, you have to decide it's worth it. I think it's worth it. I cannot live without my child.
many people avoid going to court because they feel they don't have legal fees. And is there a way to
go around the legal fees?
Yeah.
So yes, because the children's court specifically has been built to be accessible to the public. In that they have removed all the procedures, a lot of the procedures and processes, and they have tried to make it as accessible as possible, meaning you can go and represent yourself.
Oh,
yeah. So you pay the filing fees and all those things, and you can go and represent. And I think my experience with children's court is that they are, even the magistrates, the way they are being trained is they are completely cognizant of the fact that there's people who will not be there to be represented by advocates, and they will give you adequate time and they will assist you. So even when you're not so certain, what should I say, what should I do, they will tell you, just explain to me what it is you want, and then be able to translate that into the legal, okay, so you're making an application for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And a lot of times in children's courts, they allow the parties, in fact, when you go, it's not very procedural. They allow the parties to discuss and express themselves, especially if you're not represented by an advocate, for them to understand exactly what the issue is and be able to give a solution. So it's not a court where, not a commercial court where there's a lot of procedure, there's a lot of, this is how we operate in this particular court. In fact, before we did online courts, I think when children's courts are back to being physical, but before we did online courts, the children's court, before you would not all that stand, wouldn't stand. The way when you go to court as advocates, when you're addressing the court, you must stand up. In children's court, everybody sits, and we're actually sitting almost around a table, and it's not a proper court where you have to stand up and address the content. So a lot of the courts would be that, there's no ceremony of we have to stand up in court. You can just sit down and address the court where you are, which I think was also to help it become more accessible and easier for people to handle.
Quickly mention about the ombudsman and the FIDA. Are those viable options?
So FIDA, of course, is an organization that allows you to, that provides legal services for women and women and men. So they provide legal services, especially in family matters. And FIDA has the option of either helping you through litigation or through mediation, because they also have the mediators. And so it's a very good, it's a good way for you to be able to access your rights, because you can, and they're not the only ones. There are many different organizations. There's Cradle, who also help out with children's matters. So it depends on whether, if you really feel it's too complicated for you to handle, you can go and seek, they're called pro bono. These organizations which give pro bono legal services.
All right.
Well, that was a very insightful conversation. I've really, really loved it. It was wholesome, it was holistic. We've covered a number of scenarios. But if we didn't cover your scenario, please put it in the comments down below. We want to engage with you further. We want to know what you're going through. We want to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching to the end. This has been Wellness with Lilly on this YouTube channel called Shared Moments with Justus. We gather here to grow and to become better people. Please comment if you haven't, like, subscribe if you haven't, and share to everyone that you know needs to get this information. It's important for people to know what to expect, especially at the very beginning of this journey. Stay tuned, keep it here, and thank you so much. We're going to link Miss Angela's contacts in the description box below. So if you want to reach her, if you want to check out her YouTube channel, go to our description box. Thank you for watching, and bye.